Today you're going to work on creating your tactile game in Tinkercad. So we're going to go to log into Tinkercad, create a new design, and when this opens up, we're going to rename this game piece so that you know what the pieces are. Total, you are going to make 16 pieces. You'll have 8 that will be duplicated. Okay, so we'll talk to you about how do we do that. So I'm going to just show you the one of them. So I'm going to rename this to my name game piece. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring in a box. So these are all boxes that you're going to bring in. Now, from your game board, if you remember your game board was 20 by 20. So this cube right here is 20 by 20. So it will not fit inside the game board. What we want to do is we want to make it smaller. And there might be a little bit of shrinkage or some variance in the plastic that we've got. So typically we would say we'd go 1 millimeter bit smaller, so make it 19. What I want you guys to do is make it 18.5 by 18.5. Okay, and then for the height of this, we don't want these to stick out too far. So if we remember back to our board game is only 5 millimeters thick, but we cut out, it's got a 3 millimeter wall. We want to make these so that you can still get a little bit on them. So we'll make them 6 millimeters tall. So it's going to be a 6 millimeter tall brick. So this is going to be your tactile brick. Now, what you could do if you wanted to right now, what we could do is I could duplicate this piece, keep this as my masterpiece if I want to, because that's going to be the size that I want. 18.5. So if I wanted to, I could duplicate this one and just drag a piece off to the side. So I know that's going to be my master cube that's always the right size. So I've got my cube is all set up right. Now that you've got your cube, what you're going to want to do with this one is you're going to put your design into it. So everything goes on the top of it. Okay, and so what we're going to do is with our work plane, we are going to add a work plane to the top to let it know that we're working on our surface. And what's important is you either want your model to be sticking up 2 millimeters or going down 2 millimeters to create the shape. So I'll show you both ways here. So let's say for this first one, mine is going to have a circle on top of it. So if I'm gonna make my circle, so I have to make this the right size. Let's make this 7 millimeters by 7 millimeters by 7 millimeters. And we're going to make this so that it has, what we're going to actually do is we're going to make it, we want it to stick up 4 millimeters, but we want it to stick up 2 millimeters, but we actually want it to say, so here's what we're doing is we're going to put it down so it embeds in a little bit. So I made it a 4 millimeter shape. So I'm going to move this shape across, right? And this shape is sitting right on top of the model. And what I'm going to do now is I want to have a couple of circles on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually lower this down just a little bit. So if I change my view on this and I look at a different view, you can see that it's sitting right on top and it's 4 millimeters tall. What we want to do is make sure that it goes into it. So what I'm going to do is bring this down. So drop this down just a little bit. And I'm going to drop it down 2 millimeters. So what that does now is I have made the shape, and it's sticking out 2 millimeters. Remember, it was 4 millimeters tall, but I just put it so it's solidly inside the shape. Now here's what I can do with this. I'm going to take this, I'm going to duplicate it, and then I'm going to grab one of them, and it's already in the right spot, and I'm going to move it over to this end just a little bit. And there's my shape. So this would be my shape that I would like for this one. So if I'm okay with that and that's what I want, if I look at this, it's going to be exactly the same. So what I can do with this is I'm going to then duplicate this, or I'm going to create a group of it. So I'm going to group it together. Okay, so there's one shape that I've created for my tactile model. Now what I want to do is have an exact duplicate of it. So what I'm going to do is duplicate it, and I can put it back. Oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to stretch it. I want to grab it and move it. There it is. So I've got my two models. So there's my first pair. So they're the exact same. Now let's just say I'm going to duplicate this one again just for fun. Now you guys, this is not, we're not going to, your shapes need to be very different. So you can't, you're not going to just make, I'm going to have a raised one, then I'm going to have a recessed one. So I want completely different shapes so that you guys, the practice is in trying to manipulate and move and get the shape. So this is more than just quickly putting this together. So what I'm going to do just to show you for demonstration purposes is I'm going to ungroup these so that I've got them. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to turn these, say I wanted these to be recessed to be the holes. I'm going to turn those into holes. Now, again, the same thing. I've lowered it down 2 millimeters, so it's still in my model, but it's 2 millimeters in. When I group those together, instead of doing it as a raised tactile, I have it as a recessed tactile. So now if I look at this model, you can see you can feel those two little holes in there, and I would duplicate that to make a variation. So not everything is a raised tactile, some is recessed tactile. So what you're going to do is you're going to make 8 pairs of objects, and when I'm done with this, you're gonna put them all next to each other, fairly close. You don't want them touching, but you want to put all of your shapes close to each other on the board. Turn that in as an STL file so that I have it and can get your game board pieces printed. Good luck with it. If you need anything, shoot me a message.